Nydia, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. My name is Sebastian. I'm the NAHREP Tampa Bay Membership Director for 2025, and you are on the NAHREP Top 250 for 2024. Congratulations. It's an awesome achievement.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. We just wanted to have a conversation with you, get to know how you got where you are today, what kind of things are working for you, and what kind of role NAHREP's played in your business, and what kind of things we could do as an organization in general to help support you and your team.
NAHREP has definitely opened a lot of doors and helped me build a lot of relationships with people that I would have normally not met. So going to the national events is awesome, and just collaborating with other like-minded people just like yourself is a win.
I love that mentality, like-minded people who want to grow, who want to get better, who want to improve, and have that abundance mindset, right? That, hey, there's enough business to go around. We can share our tips and tricks. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got here. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been licensed since 2000. I've been a broker for 22 years. I opened my first real estate office in 2003, and I've seen all the cycles. Real estate is cyclical. I've survived them all. And now I am a broker owner of 3 real estate offices, 2 in Palm Beach County and 1 in Orlando area. So we manage about 120 agents, and we're still growing.
That's awesome. That's amazing that you've been able to survive the crazy cycles and the nature of this business, and the fact that you've been able to grow your team to that size. It's a testament. So congratulations. Tell us what it was like going from being a producing agent to, because I believe now you said to be out of production, just managing your brokerages, right?
Correct. I still do referrals. Being in the business for so long, I still have my referrals from past clients and family that we like to help out. But for the most part, I have transitioned out. We run a big Flex Zillow team here as well in Palm Beach. So I have about 35 agents in that team. But collectively, we've been able to close transactions, survive the cycle, and really just adjust to the market. It's all about anticipating things before they happen. We started using buyer broker agreements and training our agents on it over a year ago before we really started. We were starting to see it coming, right? So just anticipating that change and being ready for it, I think, is really important. And just transitioning from being an agent to being a broker mentor using my experience, really.
That's so cool. Yeah. And forecasting what's going to happen, it gives you such an advantage too, because you can prepare, you get ready beforehand, so you don't have to try to scramble at the end.
Exactly.
So is your team pretty much used to the new NAR rules and the buyer brokerages agreements? Are you having any issues with that? How did you train your team to just, what's that value proposition?
It's having a different conversation. It's really doing the same work, just having that different conversation and the way it's presented. Now there's a form, right? All this does is protects me, protects you. It helps us negotiate the best deal for you, and just really explaining it. I think what's helped us too is we like to include the NAR 111 reasons why to use a real estate agent. I think that's very impactful, right? And NAR has been great about even putting these forms out in Spanish, right? So I think that's very helpful as well, especially when the Latin community, if they only speak Spanish and they don't understand what they're signing, it could be difficult. It could be difficult. I really am glad that those resources are out there, and we help teach the agents where to find all these different resources.
No, I love that you said that, because it's part of the reason why I got involved with NAHREP in the first place. So as you can tell, I'm an originator with Ray, and we were the pioneers of having Contigo 100% is this slogan we have, because we have the whole process in Spanish, because we wanted the Hispanic community to be able to read a loan estimate in Spanish, a closing disclosure in Spanish, and solve those questions before they even come. I completely agree with you on the importance of being able to meet somebody where they are, especially clients. And I think it's really cool that you have structured your team in a way that's able to support that community too. It's for marketing. Are you involved with your local NAHREP chapter? Because you're at Palm Beach, right?
Yeah, we're actually in the process of launching the Palm Beach chapter. So we've been in the process for about a year. It's just hard to find those people that really commit, right? But now we have a strong board. We're ready to take 2025 on and plan our first event. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, if there's anything we could do here in Tampa to help support you guys, let us know. And we could even come to your event and show up to show out. That'd be great because the Orlando chapter does very well too.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, good prayer, so.
They do. So the central chapter does really well, and they're actually helping us get launched. But I'll definitely pick your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you talked about the partnerships you've been able to make when you go to these national conferences. How impactful is it when you fly out and to hear some of these speakers or some of the statistics that come out about the state of Hispanic home ownership? Does it really truly help you with your business?
It definitely does. And it helps us also forecast and get ready for the next cycle. I think that Hispanic homeownership report that comes out every year is so important and impactful because it's a lot of information. And that's information that we can use to take to our local politicians and help us really open up the buying power for Hispanics because affordable housing is a big issue, especially in Florida.
I know, yeah, especially with some of the way our home prices are going, property taxes and Mets. That was a big factor leading to the Hometown Heroes, for example, the program and all the lobbying and to get more funds just to make it more reachable or for the average person, right? So that's super cool. So for somebody like a brand new agent who's looking for somewhere to go, what kind of things do you offer at your brokerage specifically that would say, hey, I want to be here?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I emphasize on when I'm doing an interview, especially with a new agent, is really knowing who's going to be there to answer your questions. Because I think that's the biggest problem is not having that mentorship, not having a broker that's present, like having questions and not being able to contact somebody. So, we're really pride ourselves on being a broker and a support staff that is available for our agents. We have a great mentorship program that we have, especially for newer agents, because there's so much to learn. This is their business. You're a business owner. Now you're going to wear a lot of hats. And we have these guidelines and these checklists that we help them with along the way, right? So, business planning, one-on-one, and just providing all the tools and technology that they need to survive in this industry.
That's very true. I love that you said checklists. I'm a big checklist guy. I think it's the best way to keep you organized. The tools and the technology, just the way how fast the tech is moving nowadays is key to just be able to plug into the right systems and have that mentorship. I think that's great that you're available, you're reliable, you're there if somebody needs help. So you've grown your agency, your brokerage so large. Tell us what it was like to make that first hire. Do you remember how nerve-wracking that was?
Yeah, with anything, you have to take a risk, right? So I think the biggest thing to overcome is that risk factor, that fear factor. But it's really having the faith that you have this goal, there's a plan to get to that goal, and making sure that you follow that plan, right? I think anything is possible. For me, my motto has always been like, keep moving. Yeah, no matter what's happened, you just keep moving, take the day on with a smile. Even if you're not happy, then smile because it's all about your mindset.
Mindset is so important. I'm right there with you, and especially in this tough market that we've been in. So tell us, how have you been able to navigate through these tough times, these high interest rate environment? We had 2020, 2021. Most of the business had their best years ever. And now we're coming into this 2022, 2023, where a lot of agents, a lot of lenders, a lot of people in the business are just getting out, and you've been able to thrive. So tell us a little bit about how you navigated those waters.
I think it's just really supporting and educating because it's all about educating. And there's all these different programs out there. And NAHREP has been great about bringing all these different programs to the forefront and to individuals like myself that we can teach it to our agents and pass it on to the consumers, right? The 2-1 buy down. Those are really big things that you can use, right? And just Hometown Heroes, the down payment assistance programs, even workforce housing. That's a big one that people forget about, right? So there's a lot of different programs out there. And I think it's just really listening to the client and what their needs are and going from there. Because if you're paying rent and you're paying $2,500 a month in rent, Like, this is what you can afford when you purchase a property, and then you have all these other write-offs. So it makes more sense. But I think it's taking the time to really educate the agent and the consumer.
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah, I agree with you. The education, being able to show people how much their net worth can grow just by being a homeowner. It's incredible because I read a statistic the other day, and I don't want to misquote, but it said something about people who own a home are like a certain percentage, and it was a ridiculous amount more wealthy than people who rent just by making that first step into home ownership. So I think it's really important. Now, do you tell your agents like, focus on a niche in specific, like first time home buyers, or is it more kind of spread it around, spread the love?
I tell them that they should have 3 sources of buyer leads. They should have 3 sources of seller lead, because every conversation is different. So they shouldn't just focus on one. I think market knowledge is important, because knowing your market, knowing your client, like knowing who your audience is, that is so important when you're either doing marketing, when you're having that conversation, or when you're educating them on areas, because sometimes it's not going to fit in the area that they're looking in.
That's true. Yeah. And I've seen that a lot, right? Where somebody wants the $600,000 house with a really low down payment, but they want a $2,000 monthly payment. And it's coaching people and letting them know, hey, this is where we need to be if we want to be here, or we need to look somewhere else.
So exactly.
With your market, speaking about knowing the market, forecasting, where do you see your 2 markets that then you focus in going in the 2025 year?
So I know we're in a buyer's market. We have about 4 months of inventory of single family homes here in Palm Beach County. We have about 7 months of inventory in condos and townhomes. I think the insurance and condo fees are really getting to people. I think there's a market there. There's always a buyer if it's priced right. It's just a matter of getting creative, right, with certain things. We are seeing a lot of, we're still seeing a lot of consumers buying. Like I said, we're a Flexzillow team. We're getting calls. We're getting calls, and people are buying. So it's not a question of like interest rate. It's not a question of any of that anymore. It's just, if it fits their criteria, if it fits their payment, right? That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think the interest rate thing, I think people have finally understood that this is where they're going to be. There's no more forecasts. I don't know if you saw 2025 forecasts are all saying, hey, we're staying in the 6s.
Yeah.
Where the past couple of years, it was like, oh, we'll be in the 4s or we'll be in the 5s. And
Right.
now everybody's saying, this is where we're at. And I think that's brought a lot of buyers out of their shell and out of that waiting period, and seeing that historically, even in these tougher markets, like you've seen in the cyclical nature of this business, home prices are going to continue rising in value where there's demand.
Yeah.
And continue to see that demand because there's just so many people moving here.
Definitely. We were talking about it the other day. It used to take me 30 minutes to get home. Now it takes me an hour because there's so many people here. It's ridiculous. But no, we're consistently appreciating. We're always going to appreciate. I don't think prices are going to go down. I just think there's different opportunities, whether we are going to see some short sales. We're already seeing it in our market. We're seeing some foreclosures, unfortunately. But we're also seeing owners that are trying to get out because either they weren't educated when they bought and their escrows went up, their taxes went up. So those are big factors. So that's why I really keep emphasizing education, because like you're a lender, you're going over numbers, right? You have to let them know that their taxes are going to go up next year unless you file for homestead. But even then, you have a new assessed value.
Yeah, correct. And I see that all the time. I feel terrible. People will buy new construction and it's taxed on the land. And then a year later, their taxes go up $6,000 or $7,000 and they have no idea why. That's the important thing about using somebody you trust. And even if someone's going to buy a new build and they have to use that builder's lender, like making sure you're working with a great real estate agent who can help coach you and explain what to expect. So I agree with you. I think I do see where some of the foreclosures are happening, the loan modifications, but I still see the numbers and there's so much equity. I
There
think we're at
is.
an all-time high in equity too. So I don't think there's a lot of people saying, oh, the market's going to crash, but it can't. There's too much equity, right? Knock on wood, right? But I just don't see that happening. I do see it stabilizing because 2020 and 2021 were crazy. So I think we're on the same page there.
Definitely.
So tell me, what can we do, or what are some of the things that NAHREP, your NAHREP chapter is going to be focusing on for your community and for any agents that would be watching this, for them to want to get involved?
Really, it's about collaborating, building those relationships with other like-minded people that would help you grow. Because there's always somebody that can do it better, right? Why reinvent the wheel? Learn from them. I think that's one of the important things, and really focusing on coaching and bringing value. I think our first meeting, our first event is going to be growth mindset, recruiting, retention, things like that, because that's what we're doing, and lead generating, right?
Yeah.
It's the business we're in. And if we're not generating leads, you're not making money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's really cool. Yeah. So do you guys have a date or a venue?
We are waiting for corporate to approve. So we have a tentative date in February. The board's excited. We have things rolling. We're just waiting to go through all that red tape.
Oh, okay. I wish you the best of luck. I think you guys are gonna do a great job. And if there's anything that we can do, like I said, we've been able to build a great chapter here and of getting a lot of support from the community. So I have no doubt you're gonna be able to do the same. I think something that NAHREP does offer is the collaboration, the ability to mastermind and to get in a room with people who have been through what you've been through. And just the fact that you're involved, you've had so much experience in this type of market, it's just a great opportunity for newer agents or agents who are entering a different phase in their career to be able to bounce ideas off each other and take it to that next step. So
Definitely.
other than that, something else I wanted to ask you was, do you have a big Hispanic population in your markets?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We have a large population of Hispanics in our market, for sure.
Okay. Good. Okay. So what would things like that Hispanic homeownership report, these down payment assistance loans, like what else do you think would be valuable to those types of homeowners? What are you seeing when you're getting calls or your agents are getting calls from that Hispanic community that could help them realize, hey, this is the team I'm going to work with?
I think preparation, is important. Like most of them don't know the first step. We do have a big community of people that are self-employed, right? So what do you have to do in your taxes in order to be able to qualify, right? Having those programs that you can use to purchase a home, bank statement loans, all those things, knowing and having those resources available, I think is really important. Knowing your audience, and that's, a big percentage of the population, of the Hispanic population, self-employed.
That they really are. And you don't know how many people I talk to that they're just not aware of the way that the taxes are structured or why you could have a great year, make a ton of money as a business, but then your net income is really what we have to go off of per the guidelines. So having those bank statement loans, those profit and loss loans, all those other plan Bs in mind and be able to explain that to people and get them prepared is super important. Do you do any sort of like home buyer seminars, or is it more kind of one-on-one during the buyer consultation?
No, we do. We use the office to do first-time home buyer seminars. Next year, we're planning to do more of them and going out to community churches. A lot of the agents have done seminars at their churches or at their employment. So we have had a lot of success with that education piece for sure.
Oh, nice. Okay, awesome. And as far as marketing, you mentioned Zillow Flex. Is there anything else that your agents are focusing their attentions to? Any postcards, mailers, door knock?
You can do a lot of Facebook ads. So
Okay.
social media marketing is important. They're doing a lot of videos, new construction, especially right now, since they're offering so many incentives to get into the home that helps them buy down the rate to be able to afford that home. Yeah, social media marketing, Facebook ads have really worked very well in our area.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's awesome. And then do you outsource that to like a marketing team? Do you have someone within your brokerage that handles that? Or
Most agents do it on their own, or there's local vendors in the area that do help with marketing and creating the videos, even being specific on videos in just your city, right? What to do in the city, why buy here. I think those are really important, and just creating your own niche.
yeah, absolutely. I think you can only watch so many home tours before you want to know what else is there to do.
Exactly.
Okay, great. I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on. I congratulate you on having such a great 2024, and hopefully 2025 is even better for you. Do you want to maybe share what your goals are next year and what you top 3 things you definitely implemented this year that worked and you're gonna repeat next year?
I think one of the big things is really we adopted using Follow Up Boss, and I think that's been a big game changer for us. I think that's one of the most important things. If somebody would have told me 24 years ago that I should have a CRM and I'd be able to sell my book of business. I think that's one of the important things is really educating people on the technologies to work smarter, not harder. And that there's a lot of programs out there and systems out there that can help you in your business. So I think, creating solid systems, having a great follow-up plan and, having great customer service. I think those are the most important things to be successful in real estate.
That's amazing. That's so funny. You're the third comp producer I've talked to this week who is raving about Follow Up Boss. And I've used it before with some of my agent partners where, they were doing my local and stuff. And it's an amazing tool. So keeps you organized, keeps you on top of your database, and then having that great customer service to follow through with it. I think it's amazing. So I wish you the best of luck. Those are great tips. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you the best 2025.
All right.
Thank you so much.